Now this here is switchgrass. It's probably a cultivar, which is why all the tones of it is the same. There usually would be a little bit of variety if it was wild type or multiple cultivars, but it's probably all the same cultivar. But still, it's still a native grass, which this section here, this is the U.S. Post Office, is impressive that they did that. Because later I'll show you a spot that's also by the government, well, not the U.S. government, but the state government, where the landscaping that was put in for the Driver's License Bureau is not native and awful. But anyhow, this is switchgrass. It gets an average of 4 feet tall. It spreads by close rhizomes, meaning you can contain it with a little bit of effort, but usually it will slowly creep out. It is co-dominant with big blue stem and Indian grass in the eastern tallgrass prairie. But let's go back to the shape of it. Now, you notice it's kind of feathery at the top, but every now and then, because this is February, a lot of the seeds are already gone. They've been eaten or fallen off. But you see these little seeds there? The camera directs here. Those are the switchgrass seeds. That's how you collect them. Now, like I was saying, it's co-dominant with big blue stem. Big blue stem is long-term aggressive. Switchgrass, a little bit shorter than big blue stem, is semi-aggressive. And is this here? I would guess that's a type of aster. Goldenrod. No, it's probably one of the weedy asters. I don't know for sure. If you notice down here below, there's all these little ones coming off. They could be seedlings from above or close rhizomes. But what's probably going to come by, some people that care for the property will come by and spray damn Roundup on it and kill it all. But if this landscaping had people that cared about it, they would have someone like me that would pull up these tufts. I wouldn't do too careful a job because the amount of time that would take for each one, combined with how many there are. But this would be a nice grass to put in some other place. But because it's 4 feet tall and it passes the 3 foot minimum for something that you wouldn't want cars to drive over. And like I said, it's easy to contain with a little bit of effort. It can handle medium dry to wet medium, even heavy clay, and it stays upright during the winter. Big blue stem falls over. Little blue stem falls over. It's got too much nitrogen. Indian grass is upright during the winter, but not strongly upright. But this is a grass that you can have in a formal landscaping. This is probably I don't know. At first I'd assume that it's one of the weedy goldenrods, but no, this looks like something else. Not exactly sure. No, this is one of the weedy goldenrod. This is probably Canadian goldenrod. But it's a nice formal grass. Now, I personally wouldn't have this long of a row of the same thing. I probably would have switched up in 3 different sections, and in between in the 3 sections, probably have some kind of formal looking perennial like the large blue indigo or blue star or maybe not silky aster, smooth blue, aster or golden Alexanders or something that had a little bit more color to break it up. But I'd much rather have this long row of a native tallgrass prairie grass than daylilies, fountain grass, or some small non-native bullshit. You know, see, look at it. Even with they probably spray Roundup on this decent amount. It's still, you know, well, when I say decent amount, meaning a couple times a year. They probably don't do it too regularly, but it's not too hard to maintain. You know, and there's not a whole lot of places where weed seeds can come from. So the initial soil mix could be fine if you use that corn weed inhibitor on the top layer, or you had the top layer sand before you put the mulch down. And then over here at the end, now you got this worthless daylilies. That's what those are. These are daylilies. They're ecologically worthless. And this is probably the Juniper horizonus. It's, you know, it's okay. The females can have berries. There's a chance of getting bagworms on it. Here you have a cultivar of, well, maybe not. No, maybe this one's not a cultivar. There's a bean pod there. Oh, wow. That would mean that this is not the male cultivar of honey locust. But I don't see any thorns on it, so it's got to at least be not skyline, but maybe some other cultivar. And this, I don't remember what this is. This is some non-native thing, but there's much better ones you can put in here. Of course, in this type of situation, when there was irrigation, like at the 5th Avenue McDonald's, I put wild geranium. Wild geranium can handle this type of condition if it's got some irrigation or some watering in the late summer drought, because wild geranium, you know, there's some supposed experts that have told me that it can handle prairie conditions, but it can't. I did the experiments and it can't handle the late summer drought. So you can grow it in this type of situation without irrigation, but you have to cut it back probably to the ground or to the older branches in like July. Oh, this apparently has irrigation. See that there? Sprinkler head. I don't know if it works or it works good, because some places like this, it works good initially, but then it gets neglected and nobody's there to care about it in order to make sure it stays upright, consistent. But this here is also a place where you'd want to have, well, they probably did that. I forget what this is. It's something non-native, but this is the area where you'd want to have 2 drifts of some type of forb, meaning flower. Something that either blooms in the spring or early summer, and something blooms in the late summer or fall. That's maybe what they might have had in mind here. You know, they're not completely native, but they at least have one nice native. And that's, you know, it's I don't want to say standard, but somewhat standard. And this is also the type of place where they'd end up putting gravel, a weed barrier and gravel, which long term is difficult to deal with, but short term it's nice. But no, they have dirt and mulch. Of course, they need to have more mulch on this, but you can't. If you don't have somebody that works here, or someone that gets regularly critiqued of this landscape, then it's hard to make sure it stays tip top. But again, the purpose for me stopping here was to show these nice, solid switchgrass along here. Like I said, you could tell it's switchgrass because there's a wand, and this is a wand in late winter. earlier winter, there would be seeds like this all up and down it. And switchgrass is the top of the tallgrass prairies that has been used for biodiesel because of how look at them, how tight it is. The amount of carbon you can get from the top compared to the space available. I think big blue stem and eastern gamma grass, I think those are the other two that can be used for biodiesel, but not as good as switchgrass. Like I said, it's semi-aggressive. So a prairie drift in your backyard with medium height or small docile prairie plants is not ideal. This is something that's better for a big prairie drift, a restoration project, or in a formal landscaping with some effort to control its spread. Like the Bradley McDonald's. I planted them in like 5-gallon buckets and had the rim just along the edge and kept mulch a little bit higher. And you could do it a little bit higher because this is not a grass that easily rots. Because on the spectrum of moisture, you got cordgrass, the most water, lowest level. Then you got switchgrass. Then you got eastern gamma grass. Then you got big blue stem. Then, if it was tallgrass / mixed grass, then you would have northern drop seed. Then you would have Cytotes grama and little blue stem. Little blue stem cannot handle heavy clay. Big blue stem, oddly, Cytotes grama usually can handle more drought, but it can handle more clay than little blue stem. Like the name suggests, little blue stem and big blue stem are the prettiest fall color. An orangey with a little bit of blue-green mixed in. This is usually a golden yellow. This switchgrass is usually golden color in fall. But anyhow, I think I babbled enough about this. I'm pleased to see this. This is, 4 foot. Oh, this is maybe 6 foot tall. But usually it's about 4 feet tall, 3 feet tall. If there's less nitrogen in a cultivar, there's some varieties that can get 5 foot tall. But the cultivars, there's usually specific fall colors that they mention and specific heights that it, because it's a cultivar, it's genetically all the same. And of course, a variety is the spice of life. For the health of any landscaping, as well as disease protection and all that kind of stuff. At the Mantina McDonald's, there was 2 different cultivars that had 2 different colors in different spots. And at the Bradley McDonald's, I planted a down the railroad tracks Mantino cultivar and a Mantino wild ones and Bradley wild ones that were really close. The railroad tracks, like, quarter of a mile away. So it was like super local ecotype. And it looked nice, but I think those are destroyed by the new owners by now. But anyhow, and see, like right here, there's probably less nitrogen, or it could have to do with where the sprinkler heads are, or it could have to do with some salt, or maybe there's some concrete in here, because see, most of these are the same height, so that would imply a cultivar. And plus, it's because it's not, it's the U.S. government. They're probably not going to invest the time in researching local native plant nurseries. But who's to say? Maybe it could be. Maybe it could be all genetically not cultivar, meaning mixed ecotype. But of course, I'm sure it would be from one location, not multi-local ecotype like I used to do. I used to make sure I got 2, 3, 4 different seed sources for everything that I planted. So to no question asked, there was multiple genes. And here, this is the eastern red cedar juniper. It's a fire avoider. That's what it's classified as. It grows nice in prairies, and it actually alkalines the soil over time. But it's considered an invader. It's a prairie invader and a fire avoider. It specifically tries to grow in areas where it's not fertile enough for grasses to grow, so that way when a fire comes through, it doesn't kill it off, because it's easily killed off with fire. So there's been a big increase of eastern red cedar across Illinois, Iowa, and Missouri because of lack of prairie burning. But this is some type of aster. Now, even though this is probably one of the weedy asters, I'm betting some butterflies and bees had a nice meal when they came by here. They're probably just flying by, happened to smell it or sense it here, and came and were like, wow, this is a nice meal right here. Because the prairie grasses don't really provide for the butterflies and bees. They usually just provide for birds that eat the seeds, or actually there's some moths and butterflies that their larvae eat off of them. But adult butterflies and bees really don't get much out of a grass, except sometimes. In fact, the eastern gamma grass that I had in my yard, there was a whole bunch of some type of bee, I forget what it was, that there was a whole bunch of males, I forget the type, I should relook it up when I edit this video, that were like all clinging up on the sides, interior of eastern gamma grass I had in my yard. It was really neat looking. But anyhow, it's best that it's not just tall grass prairie. Even though all the McDonald's landscapings I did, I always made sure I had at least one native prairie grass, and I was working on the process of getting them all to have an echinacea, a goldenrod or aster, a hickory or oak, and some type of unique or specific host plant. You know, one for the black swallowtails, one for the giant swallowtails, one for the checker spot, and one specifically for a type of butterfly, hummingbird. But anyhow, I babbled way too long on this. I've admired these quite a bit over the years, and I just want to finally make a video of the switchgrass at the Bourbonnais post office. There we go.